And you think about their entire lives built up to this one moment, and you're responsible for giving them that experience. That's the pressure.
You join the family business, you get your first collegiate project, and you're redoing all of the signage in one of the most historic venues in America.
It's not an experience until you add those visual elements, because that's what makes it a big stage. When the student athletes walk out, it's a moment.
Where has that moment been where you've stopped? How in the heck did this start from your dad's basement 40 years ago? From South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, this is Get In, the show focused on the Hoosier State and the incredible stories happening here today. I'm Nate Spengel, founder of Get Indiana, and I will be your host for today's conversation. GetIndiana.com is your one-stop shop for everything Indiana, from festival and event guides to blog posts covering hidden gems, local businesses, small towns, and more. Check it out and learn something new about the Hoosier State at GetIndiana.com, and don't forget to subscribe to our weekly newsletter right there at the top. Marty Hill is the president of Sport Graphics, an Indianapolis-based company specializing in sports branding and environmental graphics for major events like the Super Bowl, Final Four, and the college football playoff. Now, he joined the company in 2004. And before Sport Graphics, Marty held sports marketing and business development roles with Andretti International, the IndyCar Series, and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm also joined by Angela Hill. She is the president of Section 127, a creative studio specializing in events, experiential design, and branding for sports, education, and corporate clients. She has worked with organizations including the NCAA and the NBA, developing brand experiences for major sporting events. Section 127 partners closely with Sport Graphics to bring large-scale event branding to life. I'm really excited to dive into the history of this 40-year-old business, how they help dress not only Indianapolis, but other major metros across the country for the biggest events, whether it's the Super Bowl, whether it's the Indy 500, or coming up, Final Four here in Indianapolis. I'm so excited. Everyone, I think, that listens to this has seen your work at some point. We're going to get into what you guys do to bring the JW Marriott to life. But before we talk about that, I want to hear about the foundation. What started this business 40 years ago, Angela?
Sure. So my father and mother started the business out of our basement. My dad worked at, it was a company no longer, Cornelius Printing, commercial printer. The sports movement was kind of just starting out, and that company was a family-owned business as well. Didn't have a ton of interest or belief that sports were going to be a thing in Indianapolis, and my father thought otherwise. Yeah. So he was in his 40s, 3 kids, went to my mom and said, I'm going to do a thing. And here we are today.
No way. So quit his old job?
Quit his old job. You know, I like to say my mom is the OG work from home because she raised us all and had an office in the basement. And I used to play office in her office. It was great.
That's incredible. Wait, so, and I think you said you were 7 at the time.
Yes.
So you're 7 and your dad quits his old school like printing job to go venture off doing sport graphics.
One of his first clients was USA Gymnastics, as well as Pacer Sports and Entertainment, followed by, hey, the Colts are moving here overnight. They need a printer.
Well, and like, what were the products? Because today the products look a little bit different. They look, 70,000 square foot bracket activations. But back in the day, 40 years ago, were they more like handouts? Were they more posters? What did it look like?
Sure. So if you think back in the day, like the 8.5 by 11 game programs, those still exist, but at a much smaller scale. Think about there was no internet, right? So record books were printed. I mean, the amount of manuals on the rules of how to play the game, the referee manuals, everything was printed at that time. So they had huge Komori presses in the building, and that's what they did.
How did your dad go from starting this in the basement to like get a physical product out there? Did he have to like buy an actual physical printer?
So he first started out brokering. He basically was able to earn the trust, I think, of those clients. Again, he will always say, and we will always say, relationships are where it's at. And once he got to a position where he thought he could invest in some equipment, he did. Much smaller equipment at the time, and then acquired another business for their equipment, for their people.
Was he a designer by trade? Like, where was the
He
magic?
was the furthest thing from a designer.
Oh.
I think he was a good salesman.
Hey, I mean, half that matters, and being reliable. I think
Sure.
that it's one piece like getting your foot in the door. Hey, we specialize in all things sport printing, sports printing, all of that jazz. But then being able to deliver a quality product on the backside starts to earn that trust.
That's who he is, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, his motto is give people what they want when they want at a fair price. He has not yet failed doing that. And I think that means a lot to our partners where I think you were getting to that. The partnerships are huge. But that foundation keeps us solid. And as long as we're sticking to our core, I think we're going to be fine. Yeah.
Okay, Angela, where was the first memory you have of seeing something that was produced from this basement business out in the real world?
The program at a Pacer game. I was actually talking to someone about this. So Market Square Arena, they used to have a little VIP room. I think it was called Pacer Pride Room. And I would sit in the corner and hang out while my dad was networking around the room, and I'd look at the program, and it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, how cool. Like a lot of people, a lot of young kids, like don't get to see their parents in action. You know, like you're a nurse or a surgeon or a trash man or whatever your career might be. It's not always that your kid can see the fruits of your labor.
Sure.
And this is one where like you're there and you're probably like trying to watch the game and your dad's like analyzing this like handout. Like, do you see that perfect fold right there? Like this is a crisp print right
we
there.
still do that to this day. Anybody who works for us will tell you, you can't go and watch an event anywhere. You can't go to a sports arena and not completely dissect what they have done and honestly make recommendations for how it could be better.
Well, yeah, because today it's not just the handouts. It's not just posters. It's not just like what traditional printing was. It has evolved so much. Where did that evolution into full brand activation, signage, the whole nine yards, where did you see the business start to turn into more of that experiential marketing aspect?
Honestly, it started with the Colts. They were unhappy with their signage provider at the time, is my understanding of the story. And so they knew, again, it goes back to getting sports, right? Like the game's on Sunday, it's happening. Like you have no other choice but to get it done and get it there. And so they were open to him looking at their signage plan. And so he started doing signs.
Would this have been like how far after, like pretty early on?
Yeah, this is, I mean, kind of when we came on. So, I mean, he was looking at when he was looking at, you know, he brought Angela on to kind of take over the NCAA for them, but then he's also looking at, hey, listen, this is all moving away from commercial printing and going into this brand side. And he had all these sports partners, and he's saying, hey, listen, we need to look at this other thing, but not really sure how to get there. And so you start bringing in people from different backgrounds. So he brought myself in, you know, Keith Hendricks, Brad Carlson from Indiana Sports Court to kind of say, hey, okay, here's where we're going. How do we get there? And so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, when you talk about like being able to see the trends. So one thing, Indiana was a pioneer from, you think like the Jim Morris days and the Indiana Sports Corps. Yeah. Like we were the first commission specific to sport.
Yes.
Right.
Right. And like attracting, you know, we wanted to be the amateur sports capital of the world. We wanted to host the biggest and best, coolest sporting events, and to build in that niche of like, hey, we're not just your printing expert, we're your sports signage expert. We're the graphic expert for this. I think that's really, really smart.
You know, if anything, I would say expert, sure, but also partner. And so it really, sport graphics kind of organically grew simply from what the clients needed that wasn't being fulfilled within the Indianapolis market.
Wow. Okay. So I want to know then, you guys both joined around the early 2000s. Okay. So early 2000s, one major thing that was happening was Lucas Oil Stadium, a Super Bowl was coming to town. Like we were just starting to be like on the precipice of hosting insane events. Like, I mean, a decade prior, we had the Pan Am Games, which is obviously very, very cool, very instrumental in like proving out that Indianapolis could host big events. But you guys probably joined right before things got insanely crazy. What was enticing to both of you to join this business?
I was in a transition stage. So I was in racing. My background's in racing, as far as on the sales side, marketing side, that kind of thing. And so I was working for a company called Stellar Sponsorship. It was an agency of record for Chevy for all the Chevy IndyCar teams. And so anyway, Chevy was making a transition. So I was going to have to like move to Daytona or Charlotte or New York. And so I was looking at going to New York, and Angela was in Chicago at the time, and she was moving back. And at that point I knew that we said this on there, but I knew that I wanted to marry her. And I knew that her coming back here, and me leaving was going to be detrimental. And so I was like, hey, what can I do here? And she's like, hey, here's what's going on here. Just meet with him. And so I did. And, it didn't take long. I mean, working for your father-in-law or future father-in-law at the time, I'm not sure that was at the top of my list of things I wanted to do.
Really putting all your eggs in one basket there.
And I would also say my two brothers.
Oh, and her two brothers. Yeah. So I wasn't sure that's really what I wanted to do, but listening to him and where he wanted to go to be a part of something from the ground floor that's why when I left Andretti and I went to IndyCar, it was brand new. It's like you could be part of something and grow it from the bottom up. And so this was kind of that thing. So I was like, hey, why not? I mean, if this works and her and I are going to be together, at least let's try this and see where we're going. And that's kind of where I started.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Here we are. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about, you put literally all the chips on the table on that one.
All the chips on the table.
Okay, Angela, what got you, like, were you always from the beginning, like, can't wait to come back home and join the family business?
No, not at all. I never wanted to be a part. I thought it was cool, and I appreciated what it taught me and some of the opportunities it afforded me, but that just wasn't my thing. I was into advertising and marketing. I wanted the agency that had the pool table and the dogs running around. And so I went to Ball State University, and after there I moved to Atlanta for an internship with the PR firm, and then ended up working at an agency. Then a client from Atlanta hired me to move to Chicago. And so just a little bit of here and there. And then Sport Graphics started to get into graphic design. And so they had some clients who came to them and they were like, okay, you get it. You can't have a summer Friday. Like, we need somebody who can do stuff on Fridays because things happen. Like, one of my favorite stories, it's a little unrelated to design, but it was when the brawl happened up in Michigan and Ron Artest, got suspended. Well, he was on the cover of the next program for the next game. So people had to literally come in and rip off the covers of the programs, and they had to put a new cover on. And so, again,
No way.
we don't like to talk about those times, but there is something to be said about really having a foundation and knowing that, again, the game's going to happen, things are going to happen,
And think about if you didn't use a local supplier and those were in transit.
Right.
If those were getting shipped from some major hub, manufactured somewhere else, created somewhere else, and you're like, okay, we have to intercept the UPS truck here and then like find a warehouse.
Yeah.
Or it's just like, hey, sorry, we can't do anything.
We're not doing them, yeah.
You're like, sorry, like this is what you ordered, like you're just gonna have to get over it. Rip it off yourself if you want.
Yeah.
And so being able to be that local trusted partner there to deliver in a big way, I think that's really important, and definitely not something that is top of mind for everyone when they're thinking about, when you're thinking about your printing partner as like your Pacer Sports and Entertainment, you're like, well, what if there's a brawl and we have the wrong and there's a player, we got to make that switch. That's a crazy
Malice
story.
in the Palace.
The malice, oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've made amends.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
So you start to see more graphic design coming into sport graphics, and you start to make the transition to move from Chicago back to Indianapolis.
Yes.
Were you excited to move back to Indy? Like, sometimes people, like, when they spend time in Atlanta or they spend time in Chicago, they're like painstakingly like, well, I have to come back for family. And other times people are jazzed up. Like, I've seen other places and it makes me more excited to live in Indy.
Indiana is a great place to grow up, and it's a great place to come back to. I always encourage anybody that I meet who's young, I'm like, get out, go see what else is out there. Be a professional, a young professional in a large city, go somewhere small, follow the opportunities. But when you're ready to settle down, and again, we were getting more and more serious, Indianapolis was kind of made sense, and the opportunity made sense. And I knew that I would be given, a lot of room to kind of flex, and it was just a great opportunity.
Yeah. So this was, what year did you join?
2004.
So you guys, had been working there. What were the big projects and stuff that you were working on in the mid to late 2000s that kept you guys energized on sport graphics?
Well, I like to say or tell the story of the first event that Sport Graphics ever did was the women's Final Four at the RCA Dome.
Oh,
So if you can imagine, we brought in people from Atlanta who were in the signage and event world. And we were like, hey, we've got an opportunity here. Let's figure it out and get it done. And if you could see like the way that that came together versus how it comes together now is a completely different story. But yeah, started out big, started out strong.
Yeah.
I think the other most important thing is too, because we talk about professional sports a lot, but a big part of what we do too on our end is collegiate sports. So what I was excited about, I mean, I'm an Irish fan. I'm an Indiana boy who's Indiana basketball, Notre Dame football guy, and I know people are gonna, say what they say about that. But we worked with my first project, collegiate project, was with Notre Dame, where we redid the stadium, rebranded the stadium, and so it's since been changed.
Your first project,
right? Yeah,
you
collegiate project.
You
yes.
join the family business. You get your first collegiate project, and you're redoing all of the signage in one of the most historic venues in America.
Yes,
like hallowed ground where people try to like sneak in and just get a picture, just like touch the turf, touch the field.
And it was a dream come true. Bernard Muir was on staff there. He's now the AD at Stanford, and he and I became friends. And so we talked about it because I came from. My cell was working for the Speedway, which again, hallowed ground, what it's like to be there, the understanding of that brand package and what it looks like. And I said, listen, we can do that here. We can do that. And he's like, let's do it. And so now, I mean, our clients on the collegiate side are huge. And so that's a big part of our business.
Yeah. I mean, your clients on the collegiate side are literally college athletics.
Yes.
Like the NCAA, have you ever heard of them? They put on this huge tournament in March.
Yeah, I think what's cool for us is that if you think about it, so let's just say we're designing a championship. And so we start a year and a half out, and then whatever team wins the championship, so let's say Indian or IU football, right? So then we're working with the school to update the branding at the campus to incorporate the fact that they won the championship. So it's not only the event, but if we work with the school that actually won the event, we are updating their branding, whether it's swimming, football, basketball.
And then you look at, and then you're following coaching changes.
Yeah.
Right. So for our partners that we're working with, so a coach will come in, say Coach Signetti, when he came in, he's going to make this all, because guys come in and they have their, their verbiage and what they want to say and the things they motivate the team. And so that needs to be stripped. And then somebody needs to come in and redo that. So we're following all of those trends as well with our partners to make sure that we're supporting that type of stuff.
Yeah. You think of like the words in the weight room or words in the locker room or whatever. Yeah. Like we're about grit or passion or determination.
Yeah. The first thing the new coach does is come in and say, take it all down.
Well,
that's not my thing.
I was going to say, where you probably wouldn't have loved is Florida. New Florida football coach says, nothing. You guys haven't earned the job.
Crazy.
You haven't earned any of this yet. One day you'll earn the logo, but right now you just practice in plain blue shirts.
Love it.
Yeah.
I think
I don't
for
hate
like a culture thing, it's like, especially when you have a long way to go. I mean, you talk about that. What I am curious about, so obviously today you have sport graphics and you have section 127. More section 127 being more of the design and the creative side of that.
Sure.
Where did that split or separation kind of come from?
So it was about 10 years ago, and I just kept hearing people say like, oh, they're the ones who put the graphic on the side of the JW. Oh, they're the ones who did this. And I'm like, no, we're the ones who thought of the idea to put the graphic on the JW. And so the first one ever was the Super Bowl. I would say in terms of credibility in the industry, it was a design studio on the second floor of a manufacturing facility. So not too many people or talent wanted to come to the east side and work on the second floor of a manufacturing facility, regardless of what kind of work we did.
Even if you had kombucha on tap and Dog Fridays or whatever,
1,000%.
Yeah.
So came up with the idea to spin off the creative division, knew it needed to come under a new name. So Section 127 was born.
Why Section 127?
Oh, geez, this is a story.
You got to tell this story.
So You want me to tell?
Yeah, you got to tell this story.
Okay,
Yeah.
so again, so think back to sport graphics, and so you have my dad in one office. I'm next to him, brother, husband, fiance, depending on the time. And my dad was very old school, and so we're talking phones, right? And I don't know, 100,000 square foot plant, and I could be in the office next to him, and if he wanted to talk to me, it'd be Angela 127 throughout the whole plant
On the intercom.
right?
Yeah.
Or if it was the guy in the back, like Darren 127, then Darren would come walking down the hallway.
We call it getting 127.
Yeah, we made it a verb, and so because 127 was his phone extension.
Yeah.
And so that meant you better call him or you better walk down the hallway. So,
No way.
yeah.
Yep.
Wow. 127.
127. Yeah.
I like that.
Thanks.
Back like in the old, like where you couldn't just like text someone or like Microsoft
different
Teams
times.
or whatever. You're just like, everyone here's Angela 127.
I'm
You're
like, I'm right next door.
That means come down and see me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's a fun one. And you had been doing very creative work. Even you talk back, I mean, the entirety of it, especially what got you there in the first place, was the creative graphic design, this evolution of, I'd say like today, you think about the term activation, you think about the term of like the patron experience, like what you see, what it, how that feels, the vibe, the ambiance, the whole 9 yards. Again, one of the big opportunities you guys got to be involved with this was with the Super Bowl in 2012, in 2011, 2012. People in the comments are going to be like, it's a 2011 Super Bowl or whatever. Talk to me about the process that it takes from a signage perspective to outfit a city for a Super Bowl.
I would say that the same philosophy applies to any events. So, we just did the Big Ten women's, the men's championship is going on right now in Chicago, did both of those. It's just at the scale, right? So we did a Super Bowl when it was in New York City, and you're basically decorating New York City as well as New Jersey because it's crossing lines, right? Where fans are staying, where the game's actually happening. So it really starts with getting on site to the venue, walking it, deciding what opportunities are there.
So let's take from the beginning. Indianapolis wins the bid. Probably 4 years in advance, 2 years in advance. How long did we know that we were going to be hosting?
I think it was probably four
Four,
or five.
Because I think we had Allison Millington on the and she talked about being on or being an observer of a committee because I think she led up Super Bowl.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
So,
yeah.
so
the
you
boss.
have
She
absolutely
is absolutely
Yeah.
boss.
stud. So you talk about 4 years. They're like, okay, we're hosting a Super Bowl. You guys are in charge. Like, what you were in charge of? Signage, graphics, like the whole everything. Like, what do you call that?
Allison Millington, when they start, so then now the committee starts to form, right? And so now you have your local organizing committee, and now you got to find support. You got to find money. You got to find all those things first, right? And so then once you get that done, then you're looking at, because the actual, execution of the event doesn't start till about maybe say it's 5 years in advance, it's probably not starting until about 2.5 years out, something like that, where you start picking who's going to play and where you're going to play. And so then once that hits, they start deciding, okay, you guys are here. You guys are going to work on the brand package.
So you're putting together the brand package for Indianapolis' Super Bowl.
Right.
Right.
So the way it starts is that, so we are the partner for Indianapolis and the assets of where Indianapolis is deciding where things are going. And then the NFL that time is deciding what they want to do. So they can do and use whomever they want, right? So that's when you get connected, whether they want to use you or not, they can decide that. But at that point, they said, yes, we're going to use you. And so then we're doing the full grand package, and then it starts from there.
So now you're working with not only Indianapolis, you're working with the National Football League on all of the branding, the brand package that's coming together for the Super Bowl in 2012. Holy. So where do you even start? Like, what's the first kind of dominoes? What's the first steps you have to take to bring this to life?
Not for that Super Bowl in particular, because that was one where the visual identity was done by the NFL. But for one where we're creating the visual identity, we're exploring the city, we're looking for the things we need to highlight. And then you have to think through all the applications, right? It's digital, it's printed signage, it's the sponsors are going to be tied to it. And so we start building out all those elements that come together and play together to be implemented across the city.
And at some point, someone has the idea to make what I would call, non-industry term, the world's largest billboard.
Yeah.
Yes.
At some point, someone has the idea, raises their hand in a meeting and says, what if we put the logo, the graphic, the Lombardi Trophy on the side of the JW Marriott?
Yeah.
So if you think back to that, Indianapolis had hosted some sporting events, obviously, prior to the Super Bowl. But the magnitude at which the NFL took over a city, I'm not sure had been experienced to that level. And so I remember the initial brand opportunity guide had the Salesforce Tower. I mean, it had buildings all over. And Indianapolis had always been known to be a little more conservative, I think, in what they would allow in terms of branding and sponsorships to keep the city clean. And so I think just getting the permission to do it once, and then it was like the most tweeted photo in the world that day.
I mean, wasn't it? Okay, a couple things. One, who put their hand up originally? Was it your idea?
No,
Whose
I mean, I'm
idea?
happy to take credit for it.
Like, I want to know who said, like, what if we put the Lombardi Trophy on the side of the JW?
A lot of those things, I honestly do not remember who it was, or I would fully give them credit. It's a lot of people in a room just kicking rocks and trying to figure out what's going to land and looks best. And then, sometimes we call sport graphics the dream killers because we come up with this massive idea and they're like, you can't do that. And we're like, tell us why we can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, let's figure that out. And so, that's where the bracket came into play and like live updating it as, the tournament progresses. And so,
But I think that's what makes us special and how we work together when she talks about dream killers.
They also fulfill a lot of them.
I need to talk about that. So their job is to push boundaries as far as they can go. What's needed to communicate this brand, this immersive experience for whatever event that we're working with. Our job is to make sure it can be executed.
Yeah.
So they're like saying, hey, if you're going to do it, you have to do it this way because to actually make it happen. So when she talks about dream killers, we're like, all right, before you send this to the client, let's make sure that we can execute it.
You know who also, this is a crazy connection. You know who also has a similar production style of this with two independent kind of studios is Mr. Beast.
Oh.
The ideation side of Mr. Beast's videos, he doesn't let them be connected to the production side of it
because it limits.
You wouldn't dream big enough.
Right.
Because if you're the same person, and I think about this a lot when we come up with our video ideas, and it's like if you're the same person that has to like haul a bunch of, bananas up 10,000 feet, it's like it can be done. It's not like it's impossible. It just sucks.
Yeah. I don't want to do it.
And you're like, I don't want to be the, and you're trying to like, you want to do it, and like, people's brains just go to efficiencies, and you're like, oh, do we have to? Could it be 1,000 bananas? Like, what's the difference? And it's like, no, 10,000 is way cooler, and so he separates out his creativity side with the execution side, and like basically you have to get feasibility and all that stuff. But once you turn that over, it's like, great, you have the idea. Now your job is to help make this happen.
Yeah. Right. So that was another reason why we started Section 127, because we were in the room giving creative pitches. And a client said, it was in one meeting, and they were like, well, we know you won't do that because Sport Graphics can't execute it. And I was like, oh, whoa. So again, it's kind of like light bulb opportunity here. Like, do people think we design just for what they can produce? And so really moving out of the facility, again, separating out those two things, we work with vendors all over the country.
Yeah. Who got to pitch the idea? Like, who was in the meeting with, like, I don't know, was Roger Goodell in there? And you're just like, excuse me, I believe that we should do a giant Lombardi Trophy. Like, who got to present that idea? That's so cool.
It was our creative team at the time. So it was the creative division of Sport Graphics.
Yeah.
So they go in, but there's so many players involved. Like, the city has to give approvals. You have to make sure that you can actually do it. It had never been done before.
I would love to be a fly on the wall of like those creative meetings, because I think of the craziest ideas where it's just like,
you're always welcome.
I would
come
love
on
this.
over.
I would I thought one of the best ones recently of like an activation style was when Blue put a jet ski on the canal and dyed it like dark blue and was like ripping around for his birthday or whatever it was. And I was like, that's
great.
so cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, Trey, shout out, like being able to put that whole thing together, and like you have to ask the question at some point, someone has to stand up in the meeting and say, hear me out. Giant Lombardi Trophy.
Right.
So cool.
Well, and that's where, shout out to the staff at Section 127 and Sport Graphics. Like, our talent is people, right? It's their minds. It doesn't shut off. They might think of an idea while on a run or out to dinner. Like, it's just crazy, but they're wonderfully talented.
You spend some time with Jim. I mean, you get an idea of like what our team is like and how engaged and invested in what we do. Like, you could probably get his energy about what he was doing, working on the JW. And, that's the gold. That is our secret sauce there, is our people.
How nervous were you all when this gets approved? So city says yes, NFL says yes, everyone's okay, we're good, go do it. How nervous were you trying to put this together?
Incredibly. But I also think we were never afraid, and I think that's what helped us build the business, was to lean on people who had done it before and say, hey, basically, like, come into this project with us. We've never done this, but we promise them we'll do it. And let's figure it out together.
That's a lot of entrepreneurship, I feel like, is like a little bit of like overcommitting of like, hey, yeah, we can figure that out. But then the sweet spot is being able to deliver on what you say you're going to do.
Oh,
for sure.
Frank, my father, said yes to everything. And then he was like, figure it out, guys.
Yeah.
And so
we have
kind of
figured it out. Yeah.
over the years, dialed that in.
Okay, so you go through, there's a lot of math, there's a lot of obviously designing the actual imagery, but then there's math, knowing about how I spent 90 minutes learning about the drops of like the stage and the motors and the whole 9 yards, and learning that Indianapolis doesn't have like a skyscraper rescue team. And so like you have to get trained stage operators that know what they're doing, and they have like lifelines strapped to the top of the, like, talk to me about the first time someone goes up on the side of the JW and you're just standing there like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
It's a little crazy. So, I mean, on our side, it gives me a headache even thinking about what the team does as we talk about putting this together, but just giving kind of a high level of view of this. I mean, it is a big puzzle. Right. And so you have 52-inch by 30-foot long panels that are rolled and put in a box, and they're labeled. And so these guys sit out and they grid out on paper 1A, 2A, 3A.
Like,
4A.
think about that. The guy just putting the product in the box is super important to how this goes down, because you can't see what you're putting up when you're up on the swing
You're
stage.
trusting that the guys labeled these things. And so you have spotters down on the ground. You have the guys in the stage. And so you're laying panels, and so you can't see what you're laying. Right? You're just laying a panel. And so you're hoping, and you know how you're supposed to lay it and how it goes. And so there's guys on the ground that are watching to make sure that, the image is working. Okay, got it. But they're just laying a big puzzle on the side of a building.
And they're just so close to, it's literally, you can't see the forest through the trees.
Right.
Like, you're just putting this one drop down,
Right.
and you're hoping, I hope it's all matches
right.
up. Like,
Yeah.
And so when they start installing the Lombardi Trophy, the first one, where are you standing? What are you doing? Like, are you like radioing to someone? Are you there? Are you like somewhere hiding?
The JW is one piece of the puzzle, right? Yeah. So we're creating this brand experience for the entire city. So, from the airport, from whether you're driving in, flying in, whatever that may be, we're starting that experience there. And this has to be incorporated as a part of that. So we're letting our teams do what they're doing. So you cannot concentrate on one thing. It's great, but
we were not standing there. We don't have time for that.
No. We have so many things that have to be done. Now, when it's done, everybody looks at it and goes, holy cow, that's amazing. And then we got to go back to work.
So what are the other like assets that people might not think about? Like, everyone I mean, again, that Lombardi Trophy was on the front page of the New York Times, right? Like, it was the most tweeted photo for one of the, like, this is insane. That's amazing. What are the other things that are very important aspects that people might not think about?
Well, so I always like to say good design is felt, right? And so take it as minimal as wayfinding or directionals at an event. So if you can read it, if there's enough of them to guide you to where you're going, you're happy. You're feeling good. If the letters are too small, if there's not enough, like, that impacts your experience. And so you want people to walk away. We have Ad and Game Time right now, the Pacers program, where we have just basically a completely dark venue. And it's like, it's not an experience until you add those visual elements, because that's what makes it a big stage. That's what, when the student athletes walk out, it's a moment, right? And so That's honestly one of my favorite parts about being on site for an actual championship is that first moment when they get off the bus at the stadium and they walk in. It's just crazy. All the phones
pressure,
are out. Yeah.
Right? You think about, right? We have kids that play sports, and you think about their entire lives built up to this one moment. That one moment they walk off the bus and realize they are there.
Yeah.
And you're responsible for giving them that experience. That's the pressure, right?
Yeah, and you're going to be in somebody's memory box one day. They're going to be sitting with their kids and pull out a photo. It's just, it's incredible.
And like their nameplates on the locker.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure you like triple check spelling.
Talk again
my
about
gosh.
another locker room nameplates are a thing.
The
right?
hotels, right? You talk about something like Final Four coming up, and like each individual hotel becomes a team headquarters, right?
Right. So the Final Four is actually the shortest turnaround time from when you know the teams who are actually advancing to the championship to when they arrive on site. So on Sunday, we find out who's advancing in the tournament, and their team might arrive Tuesday morning. So things have to be produced, installed. Like the Super Bowl is, I would never say simple, but in that regard, you have 2 weeks to get it together once you know the teams. This
2
is
weeks,
like
so much time.
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
When she's talking to them, we have to, so, which is already out there, we're watching this, but come Monday, it's game on. Things are hitting it, and because everything at that point, and so everything has to be done before they get here.
Right.
And so there's still all that team specific stuff that has to happen.
Yeah. Like this would be funny. You talk about like all the work that goes into it ahead of time, right? Like you have to design packages for probably, 20, 30, however many teams.
a lot of teams. There's a lot of broken hopes and dreams that end up in the trash. But like even at certain championships, they switch locker rooms as the tournament progresses. So you have to design for the 4 teams that make it all the different locker rooms and their branding.
You don't know who wins or loses.
And you're doing each round, right? So
Yes.
from
Prelims.
64 to, now here's a question for you.
Uh-oh.
You guys have been doing this for a long time. Sport graphics, 40 years. You guys have been in the business for over 20 now. There had never, ever been a one that lost to a 16 till the last decade. And
Right.
that happened twice.
Right.
Like, do you, if you can't answer it truthfully, I understand. But if you're like, okay, yeah, we don't have to worry about making packages for UMBC. Like, they're not going to beat Virginia. And then all of a sudden it's like halftime of the game and you're like, shoot. Nameplates, go.
I think that is what makes what we do so much fun, right? Because everybody has a chance when that turn. I think that's why so many people love March Madness. Women's and men's, like you just get that. Everybody has a chance, and and when those happen, you might have a deep sigh, and you might be like, "I'm going to be here a lot later than I thought I was going to be tonight." But who's disappointed in a Cinderella story?
And then you never get the reality sometimes of seeing when you say this is why we play the game, right? Yeah. And we've been reminded of that, here recently and you're like, and it's amazing when that does happen.
It's like you're, whoever the designer, whoever it is, like, all right, yeah, we're good. All we have to do is press Control P, we'll be good to go. And then you start seeing like the clocks tick away, and you're like, wait, no.
Yeah. Like a good old barn burner when we're in the studio on those nights and we're like, we really need to know who's going to win this game. Like, of course, sometimes you cross your fingers for somebody to be dominant. But
and you're like, and overtime.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Overtime,
Go.
yeah.
Talk about also, you have to build a special culture, like company culture. It takes some true, just absolute beasts if you're going to say, hey, you got to pull a 24-hour. Like we have 36 hours before the teams come into town Tuesday morning, and this place needs to roll out the welcome wagon. Right. And we just found out who the teams are that are coming. Like that is some serious effort from your crew.
I would say when we hire people and bring them on, we're very transparent. Like March, little PTO will be afforded. Like we've got to be all in, locked in. We run. I can't think of a design studio that runs 24 hours sometimes based on events happening.
That'd be so hype. Like it would be, the first couple times would be so hype. You're like, oh yeah, lock in with the crew. Like let's get creative and do the whole thing. And then like after your 10th season, you're like,
I don't know,
I'm a veteran.
Yeah, you are, and I think that's a badge of honor. When you get to that point, and it's an honor to work on the event. But you're right, the culture of understanding what we build up to. We talk about all the time. We build up to this, this time of the year because it's not just, prelims, Final Fours. You know, it's, you know, all that we do six championships. You know, so Big Ten championship, 8, and we, you know, we do all of those. So it's that. So when we get to this point where basketball is getting ready to define itself into March Madness, it is game on, and we're working nonstop all over the country. So it is building that culture of what that's like. It is hard. Yeah. I mean, it's what our team does. It's really, really hard.
I think when I was talking about student athletes, when they get on site and you know, seeing their reaction, it's the same to me, you know, for employees. So we had a gentleman who's only been with us a short amount of time, and he worked on the Big Ten championship. So one, for this year to be IU, and for him to see all these things that were once just on a screen or, you know, were once pegged to a wall, like come to life, it was pretty incredible to see his reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. Like so cool.
Yeah.
And you think about, it's not just Final Four. It's not, you know, just big, like it could be, and it's not just basketball. Because aren't you doing lots of different championships for different divisions as well? And
yeah, like right now we're designing men's ice hockey championship for the Big Ten conference. Like all that's happening at the same time. So it's very.
What's like the most niche? Like,
well, we're right in the middle of, I mean, Red Bull MotoGP down in Austin. You know, I mean, it's, you know, and that's happening. That's happening. I mean, we have teams that guys are leaving from certain places to go down there because it's the same time. So, you know, to do the MotoGP, which is Red Bull is an amazing client. They're great. But it's a cool event.
Talk about the wildest business. Like you think that it's the drink, and then it's really just like the craziest.
Well, talk about a culture.
The culture
right?
is
like,
they're different. When you meet the Red Bull guys, you know they're Red Bull guys. Yeah.
And sometimes you got to ride the bull.
That's right, man. You got to ride it. Yeah.
I love it. No, and I think it's like I see some of their social and like their videos. Like Red Bull and GoPro are just like one of the coolest follows because they're always like Red Bull's like jumping through a train boxcar.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
I told them they should sponsor us. I'm like, have you ever sponsored a design agency or a production company? Because you could keep us going.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's wild. Okay, yeah, you know, you talk about sponsoring the people who are making the graphics for a 24-hour all-nighter lock-in.
Yeah.
I do want to talk more about like the design aspect of specifically Final Four, because I'm pretty sure you guys do, Section 127 does, like you just released Detroit for next year, right?
Correct.
So like, and it kind of looked to me, again, this is my interpretation.
Sure.
Kind of looked like an engine block a little bit, like had that V6 look to me, V8, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what it's, that was my interpretation.
Yeah.
But like you guys did the one in Indy for this year, like you've done the actual like logo mark. I don't know what you call that.
Several years, I would say. Honestly, we did it for a very long time, took a pause, and then came back. So I don't know, the last 9 years, I would say we've done it for both the men's and the women's. So basically, again, you have a lot of stakeholders that have to be happy with what you're doing. The city that the event is in, they want to know that they're represented. You know, the NCAA takes a little bit of a different approach, whereas like a Super Bowl, like the structure of their logo and the shell, that stays the same. Whereas the NCAA, they want to make it a very unique experience every year for the students who will show up there. And so, again, it's city officials, it's people at the NCAA, it's the committees. Everybody kind of has to buy into it. So a number of options.
How many years in a row have you guys done it?
I would say this current streak is about 9.
Yeah, I'm like looking through. One, I thought that, what was it last year? Phoenix?
Yes.
Phoenix was really, I mean, they're all really cool, but I just love the way you like layered in like Southwestern vibes.
Yes,
like
without
that
overkill.
Yeah. And then this year has obviously Circle City, kind of like the Indianapolis flag incorporated into it. Like as I looked through, I actually just like found like a Reddit with like some of the previous ones. Like,
well, that's the fun part, right? So once it gets revealed, everybody's in the comments. Everybody's looking, and you can never do it right. Like nobody, you know, you can never do it.
Yeah,
right for everyone, I guess.
Like, do you guys work with the Indians?
We do not.
Okay,
but that rebrand is cool.
Yeah, that was one where it's, again, you can never make everyone happy. Yeah. Like they went through this, they do this whole big release, and it's like, well, you already got to be prepared that half the people are gonna love it and half the people are gonna think it's terrible. And it's like, that's just anything.
They did a good job. Yeah.
Anything creative. Like,
you have to be there to support the designer when that happens, and say, hey, you know what? You're very talented. Look what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like I mean, we learned that. It's like I'll put out a video, and it's like some people, oh my gosh, that's the coolest thing ever. And it's like, people like you are ruining the city of Indianapolis. Like, I can't believe you would tell them to go to this local coffee shop. Like,
and you're like, get out of your mom's basement.
yeah, I'm like, come on, dude. Like, what are we? I always just like kill them with kindness. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jerry, I'm really sorry you're having a tough Tuesday. I hope your Wednesday is better.
Yeah.
And they always like never have a good response to that.
Yeah.
You just like out nice them. It's like, that's Indiana.
Yeah, for sure.
It is a lot more than just the JW Marriott.
Right.
It is a lot more than the giant Lombardi. It's a lot more than the bracket, but it's not every day I have world record holders in the studio. So the first Guinness World Record setting giant NCAA tournament bracket was installed on the JW Marriott Indianapolis, April of 2015. Installed by Sport Graphics. This is
They got
literally
it
in the
right.
AI.
Yeah, love it.
Installed by Sport Graphics, this 16-story, 43,480.8 square foot display was created for the 2015 NCAA Men's Basketball Final Four. And then a newer and larger version was later displayed in 2021. But then, I mean, there's a whole process of getting the Guinness people out there.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to know, again, who sat around the room and said, all right, hold my beer.
So
Like, we should do a giant bracket.
yeah, again, it was a collective brainstorming session for sure. I know it was the NCAA, I believe it was Nathan Arkins, who said, this could be a Guinness World Book of Records. Like, let's look into this. And that process was unique in itself. There's different levels of opportunity there. But yeah, it was very cool. I mean, that's bucket list, right?
I mean, yeah. Okay, so the whole thing comes together and you're like, hey, the idea to do a giant bracket. And then the Dream Killer side has to learn about how we switch out the names and get all the teams to like advance down. And what I think Jim also said, Jim is the VP of installation.
Yes.
Yes.
And I got to spend, if you haven't seen it, by the time this video comes out, our video of what it goes into from the top of the JW, like, it is insane. But he talked about getting the bracket live updated so that when people are leaving the stadium, the winner is already on the bracket.
Oh yeah, that is one of my favorite moments. Is when
cool.
it was in 2015. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I don't remember who won. And their team buses drove by, and fans were outside. You know, you saw flashes of all the cameras, and they got it up. It was pretty incredible.
Duke.
I think it's Duke.
So
And
they're
they
just hanging out on the side of the JW waiting for somebody.
It was one of the cool.
call
It was
them.
a very cool moment, especially for us to know that when you do these things, you're hoping that they like them, like that we represented them well, and then to see them all stop. I mean, you can see, and there's some of the kids were crying. You know, when you look at
got
what
off
they're
the
doing,
bus. It was
they got off the
great.
bus, they're taking photos, they're taking selfies. It was really cool.
Like, and that's next level. Like, that's you truthfully, one, you're not only representing sport graphics, you're not only representing like the JW Marriott, you're representing an entire city. Like, you're representing the state of Indiana, the NCAA, and to be like, Indianapolis is the best host city. Like, they already had our logo up there when we had,
Right.
like, how'd they do that? They're wizards. It's
Yeah,
magic.
Thank you. I will just like off that really quick one, because we were talking about what it takes to put these things up, right? So we did the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So they were on. We did the race car on the side. I don't know if you remember that one. We did a giant race car, on the side, and done, looks fantastic.
Oh no, I see.
And then we get this, so look great. And then we get this call and they're like, hey, we got a call from Firestone. It was the 100th anniversary. And they're like, hey, they want to do a commemorative tire that they're going to be using for us. And they want you guys to go up and replace the wheels in the graphic with the new tires. So they want us to go do a pit stop on the side of the JW, and I'm listening to them, and I'm like, hey, let me get back to you. And I went to the team. I'm like, listen, and they're like, we can do it. I'm like, no. I'm like, come on, guys. Tell me, like, Marty, we got this. And I'm like, all right. I went back. I'm like, we can do it. Send over let's see what it looks like. And then we went up there and changed the tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be like a nightmare for you.
It was
Like,
not
you're
good.
like,
I know. It was.
Have there been other ones where you're like, because again, this is like displayed. You're going to be on Reddit. You're going to be on Twitter. Like,
Right. Yeah.
if you make a mistake, which like that's life. Like sometimes changes in design. Have there been other moments where you've had to like go up there and fix something?
I think one other time there was the wrong logo, perhaps, and we had to go up, and you're like, again, it's just natural sometimes, and that's on us that it was the wrong logo. But you think about these things, like 30 people have looked at it, but you just, you know, you're so in the habit of seeing the logo that you might not dial in. So
this happened to me literally yesterday. I put out a video and I spelled a word on the title of it wrong.
Right.
And it's like, you know, for us, I don't know, 30, 50, 70, 100,000 people see it. And it's like I spelled Arial, like the font, not Ariel, like a plane. And I literally like looked through it. I'm like, oh yeah, we're good. Posted it in the comments. Literally first one. Hey, it's spelled Ariel. And I was like, bro. And I can't go and fix it because it's already out for
It's
the
already
internet.
done, yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm a human being. That's life. Like things
Right.
happen. And then it's all about how you go and, you know, fix that. And you get up there and do a pit stop and a tire change and we're rocking and rolling.
yeah, I think it's, again, that's where the partnership element comes into play. Like they know we take good care of all the work that we put out. And yeah, sometimes we're going to make mistakes, but I think owning it, being accountable and saying like, hey, we screwed up. Like this is what we're doing. Figure it out. Again, like when we get on site for events, I'm like, I don't want anybody talking about sport graphics or Section 127. I want, you know, our names to stay out of their mouths. Like they might be mad at the bike rack guy or whoever, but not us.
But our teams, and when we get to that point, guys, it's almost like an athlete. So, you know, I worked with Michael Andretti for a long time. And when he got into race mode, he changed to someone different. He was, as soon as we hit the ground, he was a different dude. And that's how our teams are. When they get on site, it is go time. Like, get out of our way. We're going to do our thing. We don't have time to do anything else because they're in a time crunch, right? So we only have so much time to get what we need to get done. So they're hammering it out. So they don't have time to do anything else.
No, and you think about, I was talking again with Jim. Honestly, shout out Jim. It was incredible. We're talking about the people that go up on the side of the building in the stage. Like they are 300, 400 feet in the air off the side of the building with nothing but a rope and their little engine that like powers them up and down. Talk about being built different.
Yeah, they're built different.
Like,
No, they're crazy.
just built different.
Oh yeah, they're crazy. I mean, there is sometimes, I mean, things like that when we used to, you know, guys were, you know, going over the side, you know, and so they're just different kind of people, like, you know, guys that climb mountains and they're just, you know, they love it.
Jim told the story where they're like up there for one of the installations on the JW and the like fire department and like the police state, like they like show up and he's like thinking, oh my gosh, are we in trouble or whatever? And they're like, oh no, we just want to know how you guys do this. Like, wait, you don't, like, you're not the experts? Like, oh no, we can't do what you guys are doing up here. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I got two more questions I have about, again, this huge activation. Well, actually, I have three more questions. One, a lot of different partners have to be involved. The owner of the building, the owner of the rights, the installation, the designers, the city, the everything. How does it work? Like, how do you get everyone to find something that they're in agreement upon to bring this to life?
I think that's really led by the client, right? So they're the ones who orchestrate everything. We're kind of the orchestra, if you will. So we're working with them. I would say that Indianapolis, again, it's a great city to host these large scale sporting events because everyone is experienced, they're knowledgeable, they know the hoops that we have to jump through. I mean, I look back, the JW, I don't even think at the time, I don't think that they were all for putting the Lombardi Trophy. I think there was some definite pushback.
Yeah, for sure. Because it was really the first time that it was getting stretched. You know, everything was more ground level, that kind of thing. We weren't really doing large scale graphics, something like that. And I think it came, you know, you have governors and mayors and everybody getting involved to say, hey, listen, is this where we want to go? Is this what we're doing? And I think they were convinced that, listen, we are that city. I mean, if you're going to, and I think we've proven it to this point that, you know, if you're putting on a large scale event and you're not considering coming to Indianapolis, you're missing out because it is the perfect city to immerse your brand, immerse an experience because we're walkable. Once you get here, you park your car, you go to your hotel, and you can get to everywhere you need to go. If you need to eat, if you need to go to the game, if you need to go to the conventions or whatever it is, you can do it inside and out. So it is a great place to host an event.
Clearly today, the JW Marriott or like Marriott Corporation or what, I don't know what the
recognizes the impressions.
Yeah. Because they're the title sponsor of the this year's bracket activation, right?
Yes, Marriott Bonvoy.
Marriott Bonvoy. That's what I was like. Yeah,
Yes.
like they're like, oh yeah, we're all in on this. So it's not even. I mean, obviously, I don't know all the details of a deal, but like previously, I'm sure other entities were like renting this space for them or whatever it was. You know, when the Indy 500 last year, like Mountain Dew's on the back.
Yep.
Like obviously, at some point, like other sponsors are footing those bills. Now they're like, hey, we want to activate the side of our building.
Yes.
We are believing this, and I think on the side, like it's this full 70,000 square foot bracket. We have Sophie Cunningham on the side of the screen. We have Wes Wilson, their Show Me Something podcast that I think Marriott Bonvoy is also a sponsor of that. Like they're doing this whole big thing. And you guys, the graphic, what we don't call it a banner. It's not a banner. What do we call the full
activation? Yeah, it's called window perf, but the full activation.
yes.
Yeah.
If you want to talk materials.
Industry term, window perf with an F, window perf. And it's 70,000 square feet across the spine. I was up there looking at it. You guys had to like partner up and get more of these arm bases.
Davit arms. Yep.
Yeah. I learned all about Davit arms.
Davit,
Davit
yeah.
arms.
Davit arms, yeah.
They're like, you have to get ones that rotate around the corners. And then the sides are called the spines of the building.
Yeah.
Like I'm an expert when it comes to
hey, I'm impressed. That's pretty good.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was so cool to get to be just like a fly on the wall or on the roof, learning about this, how it takes it takes 2.5 weeks to do that install.
If you're lucky. So I was going to say, when you talk about the sides of the building, so, you know, that east side is the one that most have done. Mountain Dew was the first to do the east or west side of the building. But when you're on the east side, a little bit easier because it doesn't take as much wind. So if you've got good weather, now you really want it to be 40 degrees and sunny. Now you can get it down to maybe 35, but you need sun, because otherwise you're not going to get that material to stick. So you've got to, and so in this time of year, yes, but we'll stretch it out. The earlier we can get up and get started so that we have our down days, because we've had down days because it's too cold.
And so this is all put on with, how wide are those panels? Or
They're
those
52 inches by 30 feet.
So it's 30 feet long and 52 inches, and there's like a backing, and you're literally just like peeling off the backing and squeegeeing on and it's like you have to do it. And how long is the stage?
It is a 25-foot stage.
So you're like doing it in, those drops are like you're doing a piece of it and then you go down and then you have to like move the whole thing, which apparently is a multi-hour process to like move your rig over the next 25 feet or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. And you got to think about it, because, in the time, it's a safety thing too, right? So you're not doing this with speed. You're making sure that you've got everything touched where you're supposed to.
Precision.
So, precision. yeah.
And listeners, this is the craziest part. The install crew are out there for 5 hours at a time. There's no breaks. I'll let you take that to know like what you need to know about it, but it's like you got to be prepared to be on the stage, like on the side of the building for 5 hours at a time, break for lunch, 4 to 5 hours in the afternoon.
But also thinking that, I think people think that stage is sitting still. It is not. So when you're on the side of the building, they're laying that graphic, but that it can move anywhere from 6 to 18 inches while you're trying to do this. And so there's a time when you get to, we talk about wind and where it is like, hey, a certain mile per hour, we got to come down because it's too dangerous.
Guys, I need to get on that stage.
Yeah. We're always hiring installers. So if anybody wants a new career.
What is it? A 6-week program in Alabama, and you two can get certified to go up on the stage.
Right.
I was like, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Will, that's like he's another one of our editors. He is like a adrenaline junkie. He would love that.
Yeah.
6 weeks in Alabama.
That's
you could come
it,
back
man,
and you could run the motors on the side of which like is two separate. It's a whole what?
And you
they've
got to keep them
had,
balanced. Yeah.
Doug Bowles and the 500 winner have been up on the swing stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jim was saying some people love it. Some people hate it.
Yeah.
And it's like these people that, especially drivers, they're like going, he's like, oh yeah, they'll go 230, 240, 250, 200 like miles per hour. They start to get a couple hundred feet in the air and you're like, oh, I'm out.
Yeah. Because it's control. Those guys are control freaks, right? So they're not in control when you're sitting on the side of the
I was
building.
even on the roof and I was like, you get some jitters.
Yeah.
I need to know about when you guys got the email about Taylor Swift.
Well, I got an email that said, hey, we need you to do some renders. We're going to put Taylor Swift on the side of the JW. And talk about me calling sport graphics dream killers. I was like, do we have permission for this? Where am I getting this imagery from?
And is our dream killer
her
on this one, yeah.
team signing off on this? And then I was basically told to just get it done. So we did it. And,
That was a great installation.
Yeah.
I mean, pink and big, and it was cool.
I think it speaks volumes about Indianapolis. Like for them to pull that off and put that together.
How tall was that? It was because it was all the way down to like the third story.
That one went down the longest. God, I don't really know how tall.
If the building, let me just say, the building's 400 feet tall, and
she's pretty close to it.
Like you probably over 300 feet tall.
Yeah.
Like
she's
that.
probably 320, 340. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it was cool.
100-foot boots.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like that has to be so cool. Being able to see the work of you all and your teams come to life in the literal biggest manner on the biggest stages.
I was going to say, with something like that, we got a chance to experience that with our daughters because we were taking them to the concert. So we stopped. We were like just everybody else standing in the middle of the street taking pictures. That was pretty cool.
Well, I do want to know, out of all of the work that Sport Graphics has done, that Section 127 has done, where has that moment been where you've stopped, taken in imagery, taking in the vibe, the feel, the branding, the whole 9 yards, and just been like, how in the heck did this start from your dad's basement 40 years ago?
To this day, every event, it doesn't get less satisfying, right? Like every year has its new challenges and opportunities, different players involved. And so when that time comes again, it's either seeing the people who are working on it for the first time or seeing the athletes get off the bus. It's very cool. Very cool. It never gets old.
Yeah, I think, if you have kids and you know what it's like to sit around your your table and you're eating and you look around and you're like, when did this happen? Like, I still feel like I'm a kid and I'm responsible for kids. It's kind of the same kind of experience when you're looking at it and you're like, wow. Okay, for me, it's every single event. I love what we do. And so when you see it, but it's taking that time to take a minute. I think that's where we don't do that enough, where you're moving so fast, you've got so many things to do. But when you sit there and you're like, that's cool. And then you move on. And, but yeah, I really love what we do.
Yeah. I mean, when you're having to move fast, you have 36 hours to turn over these hotels and the locker rooms and the whole 9 yards before teams get here. You can't really stop and smell the roses. Yeah.
Right.
But then once the event starts to go and things do calm down a little bit, it is nice to be able to say wow, not only is the arena sick, not only is the side of the hotel sick, but millions of people might be watching at home and see the logo that someone created. From your team. That's nuts.
Oh yeah. It's pretty incredible for sure. I love watching people normally they'll right after the logo reveal, they'll have merch ready to go. So seeing the designer get the merch for the first time.
Yeah.
And then picking up the swag, it's very cool.
Yeah. I mean, you think about IU National Championship and it was people were in line at Dick's Sporting Goods or wherever it was at
oh yeah, that was crazy.
midnight. And it's that people are standing in line to get stuff. Order merch or whatever it might be that you people design. People.
Yeah, we have a designer who said to me, he was just I think it was Women's Final Four was the first one that got chosen, right? Because multiple people design logos, but then only one gets chosen at the end of the day. And so he was just thank you, bucket list opportunity, to design a logo for the Final Four.
Yeah. All right. We've come towards the end of the show where we have some fun, rapid fire sort of questions, and we're going to dive into Indiana a little bit as well. So this question is brought to you by our friends at JC Hart. They're a leader in creating enjoyable living experiences at apartment communities all across Indiana and beyond. Check them out at homeisjchart.com. My question for you all, why do you call Indiana home?
The community, it's a great place to raise a family. It's incredible. Again, we talk about it often, just the effort that the people of Indianapolis and the city do to bring these events here. And people are nice here. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's good to be around nice people.
Yeah, agreed. It's when Ange said something about it earlier where we both had the opportunity to leave. and go and experience some other places, and to come back and you realize how great this place really is. I think we talk a lot about partnership, but we also talk a lot about family. And we feel a lot of that when we're here. But for what we're doing, I mean, I'm able to sit here with my wife and talk about the things that we're doing together, separately and together. And that is super cool. And there's no better place to do it.
Yeah, that's like a Mad Lib, right? Like working with your husband and wife, installing a 300 plus foot.
That can be episode 2.
Yeah, like the graphic of Taylor Swift. Like that is like Mad Libs.
Yeah.
You like fill out those whole things. I love it. Okay, we have some rapid fire questions for you. What would it take to install a graphic on the Salesforce Tower? Is that possible?
So it was explored for the Super Bowl. It was an opportunity. And at that time, it was not feasible. And I think that was just based to the architecture of the building. And so, like we're looking now at new opportunities like the new Insignia
Hotel.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's got a pretty clean
Andy Mallon,
front.
we're coming to talk to you. Yeah.
So now, could it be done now based on advances in technology and different install methods? Possibly. But at the time when the Super Bowl was here, it wasn't an option.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happens over a decade plus.
Right.
You never know. You never know.
I mean, imagine like I don't even know what I would want like a logo or design to put on there, but you could put something really cool.
You could,
Yeah,
for sure.
We'll work on that.
Hey, Doug, you could put like a track across the top.
Like an outline of Indiana that says "Get in."
All we need is 1 billion likes. If we get 1 billion likes on this video,
you're in, yeah.
YouTube might pay for us to install an activation on top of the Salesforce
I'd love
Tower.
to see it.
Okay, in that vein, take all current clients that you currently work with off the table.
Yeah.
Right? Like we love all of the activations. They're all incredible. They're amazing. In the vein of something like a Taylor Swift, if you could snap and put any sort of activation, any graphic up on the side of a building in Indianapolis, what would you put?
World champion Pacers on the side of that building.
Yes.
That's what I want to do.
That would be so next year.
Yeah.
Next
year.
Tyrese
Let's do
is
it.
back.
He is, man.
We're going to get a lottery pick. It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
Well, actually, wait. We don't want a lottery pick. We want a later.
It's an interesting trade. Yeah, we
We
get
want
1
like
through 4, or I think it's 9 through.
Yeah, we want to fit right in the specific spot where we still get our pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get that.
We need our pick.
Yeah.
Let's get that pick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay.
I'll go for the Colts to
There
win
it
another
is.
Super Bowl.
Come on. There we go.
I think for us, when you ask that question, we're all so connected to something, right? So when you ask, it's like, okay, what is it that would make that make sense? Because for us, it's sacred ground, and I think Mountain Dew stretched that a little bit, and I think that made people pull back and to say, hey, listen, you need to tie that more to who we are in Indiana.
Yeah.
And I think, and so I'm in the process of doing another one for Indy, and that you'll see that change, and it'll be more in line with what we want here in Indy. I thought it was a cool graphic. Don't get me wrong, it was great, it was cool, but I think that was a push that people are like, hey, listen. It needs to be. It can't be an ad. It has to be tied to something. So
It's not a billboard. It's a moment.
It's a
right?
moment. It's a moment. Good one. It's
Ooh,
a moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
That's
nice.
spoken like a true.
I know.
Creative.
That's why I just do what she tells me to do.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and that's totally fair. And it kind of did, especially being the first time on the west side of the, and it kind of felt like, hey, someone's getting their bag.
Yeah.
Right,
and
right.
like someone's like, that's fair.
Yeah.
Hey, bills don't pay themselves. And Mountain Dew was like all in on being a huge partner of the Indy 500.
Yep.
We don't hate it. We don't hate the game.
No.
Right.
But I do respect the fact that it's like it's not just a billboard.
It's not a billboard.
I'm like, people take that seriously where you don't just, not anyone with a checkbook that's
Right.
large can get that space.
No.
It has to be in line. And I do think the Marriott Bonvoy this year is tasteful.
It's
it's like
fantastic.
they're a huge partner.
Yeah.
But they're also like, it's Sophie Cunningham, it's Wes Wilson. It's like this whole, it's a
Connection.
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a QR code that's going to lead you to their like special activation that's happening. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very cool. We've come to the final 3 questions that we ask everyone, the same 3, every guest that comes on the show. Angela, we'll start with you. What's something the world needs to know about Indiana?
Nationally, it's known, but globally, I would say that it is the best city to host a sporting event. And now, weather plays into that a little bit, and often it's to our advantage. Think about the Super Bowl, but truly, we just know how to pull it off. The people are committed. They're experienced. I mean, oftentimes we have people coming into our town and we're like, get it together. Like, we do this. This is, we know how to make things happen. And again, the downtown footprint is great. And the way that, the Ritz-Carlton, the way they're revitalizing everything around Georgia Street, it's cool.
I always thought like the telltale sign of this, here recently, we hosted a convention for people who run associations and conventions. Like the organized, it was like the most meta thing ever. We hosted all of the people who host conventions. So like they loved Indianapolis enough that they wanted to bring in everyone who organizes any sort of convention or association,
to learn how to do it.
To see like, oh, this is, and like you talk about the ripple effect that can have. If you went over, imagine, let's say it's 30,000. I don't know what the number is. If you went over 10% of 30,000 people, like do the math on how many future conventions will come here for decades and decades. It's crazy.
Well, and it goes back to the Pan Am Games, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It all
who was
comes
at
back.
that table? I don't know.
I had Milt. Do you guys know Milt Thompson?
Yes, I do.
I had Milt. I had
Yeah.
Milt on the show,
great.
and he talks
He
about
was at the table.
Yeah, he
he
was.
He was the general counsel, and
Okay.
he was in Cuba. Like, go back and listen to this episode. It's an incredible recount of him, like in the Castro facility, like trying to convince Cuba to come to the Pan Am Games.
Wow.
And it's like, and at the time, this is like the early 80s, because I think the Pan Am Games were in 84.
Yep.
And they were like one of the first Americans that had like re-entered Cuba in however long. And he's just like telling
You're
the story.
outside of my pay grade.
Yeah.
It's a wild story where he like Fidel Castro like invites them in at like 3 a.m. Like that's when he wanted to meet with them. And he's just like, we were ready to go. We were like Minutemen, ready to go at a moment's notice. Like,
Okay.
crazy. Marty, what's something the world needs to know about Indiana?
Honestly, I think we're staying on that theme of I don't think enough people know about Indiana Sports Corporation and their role and what we were just talking about as far as bringing and the light on what we do here. The biggest events, all those things, they are at the center of bringing them here. And if you don't, if you're not a member or a part of Indiana Sports Corporation, you should do that.
Yeah. Individual memberships.
Yeah.
I think it's like $50.
It's nothing,
And you can
yeah.
be part of it. They'll send you some cool gear. I'm a member. It's awesome. And it helps bring, if we want to get another Super Bowl, if we want to get these big blue chip events to the state, they need support and love there. Okay. This is your opportunity. Marty, we're going back to you.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity to shed some light on a part of the state that more people need to be talking about. What is a hidden gem in Indiana?
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. And here's why I say that is if you have not been there since they've renovated, you haven't been there. It is an incredible experience. They've done an unbelievable job with renovating that place. And so you have to go. It is very, very cool.
It almost feels wrong to call it like in the what people think about of a museum. Like I think museums have this like, I don't know, a little old school connotation, and it's almost like an art installation mixed with like hands-on activations, racing sims, pit crew stuff, like kids, merch, the whole 9 yards, history. I loved it.
And
It
you
was
do
so
not
cool.
need to be a race fan to appreciate it.
No,
You
like
should
they'll
go.
take you through those like the like first little stage of it, and you see that video. And
Oh.
I don't care if you just need like a little pick me up in the middle of January when you're thinking about May.
100%.
It's like a 4-minute video or whatever it is, and it gives you goosebumps.
But
and
it
it
feels like you're
inspires you.
standing on the starting grid, and
Yeah.
it is impressive. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, Angela, what is a hidden gem in Indiana?
I'm going to throw out the Cheesecake Lady. And so I don't know if you've heard of her.
Tell me more.
Okay, so I don't personally know her, and I think it's been a few years where I just heard, the Cheesecake Lady, the Cheesecake Lady. And so she has had a really interesting story, and I think most recently just left her full-time job to really dig in. And so it's cheesecake, and it's presented a little differently. Like I think they have a cheesecake bar. I have tried the cheesecake from one of her like distribution locations. And I don't know. I don't
Love the
even love
story.
cheesecake. It's just more the
Yeah.
story has been really cool to see how people have supported her and kind of the ebbs and flows of just starting a business.
Meet Cassie, founder and cheesecake creator. Founded in 2020, Cassie turned a passion project in her home kitchen into one of Indianapolis's most talked about dessert destinations. What began as a simple love for cheesecake you and me both, has grown into an award-winning bakery and a true local favorite. Located across from the Children's Museum, just minutes away from downtown Indianapolis, the Cheesecake Lady invites you to experience cheesecake reimagined. Let me tell you, we're going to put some pictures on the clip. Fire.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they look insane. How have I never heard about this? The Cheesecake Lady, we will be coming your way to check them. Cheesecake cups.
Yeah.
Full cheesecakes.
We've traded the cups. Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah,
That
we went
is-
to like Leo's gas station and they sell it there. So
do.
she, you know, you can
it's
find
great.
it if you're not
Heck
downtown.
yeah.
For
I
sure.
love that. Cheesecake Lady. Finally, this is where we get future guest recommendations and learn about other people that are doing inspiring things. Who's a Hoosier we need to keep on our radar? Someone who's doing big things.
I'm going to go with Ebony Armstrong. So she is the associate vice president of the Indiana Fever. And we've worked with her for over 20 years. Started at the NCAA, then went on to the Big Ten, and then within the last few years has been promoted to this key player in the WNBA All-Star game. And I think just with the development of the team and the league, I'm really excited to see where she goes.
Heck yeah. Ebony Armstrong.
Yes.
Amazing.
I'm going to go with Sarah Myers, chief of staff at
Beast.
Indiana Sports Corp. She's, she's a badass. I don't know if I can say it on here, but she is.
Oh, you can say that.
Yeah,
In regards to Sarah Meyer, you can say
she
that.
is, man,
Yes.
and she's a friend. And I love what she's doing. I love her energy. She kind of has that Doug Bowles, as he is at the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, how he's just out there in everything. She's doing the same thing over here, but in her own way. And I love how she's just a strong female in this industry, and she's a good role model for my daughters and everybody else that's out there.
Yeah, we talked about this. Who has a job or who's doing work that in 100 years they'll look back and talk about? And we said Sarah Meyer and her team at Indiana Sports Corps, like they're doing the stuff that 100 years from now you'd look back and be like, they did it. That was a cool job.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
love it. Shout out to them.
Notice
Y'all-
they're both women.
Respect. Hey,
Hey.
I mean, India. This is the global hub of women's sports.
It really
We've
is
got
great.
some
Come on.
very great women.
Y'all, it was incredible getting to share the mic with you and learn about the 40-year history of sport graphics. Your guys' over 20 years rocking and rolling, bringing the coolest events and activations to life, really rolling out the welcome wagon for Indianapolis, but other cities as well. The work that you do, probably, consumed, seen by everyone, but maybe like are largely overlooked of like what really goes into it. It was so fun to spend some time learning about what truly goes into, whether it's, the street signs in downtown Indianapolis that are all fun and games there, to the giant Taylor Swift on the side of the JW Marriott, to Lucas Oil Stadium. The Indianapolis 500, the largest single-day sporting event in the world. The work that you do is incredibly important. The way you represent our city, our state, brands that we hold sacred. Just keep up the good work. It's so much fun. If people want to learn more about sport graphics, if there are organizations out there that might need sport graphics or creative design work, how can they find you guys?
Section127.com and then sportg.com.
Heck yeah. Love it, y'all. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
This show is made possible by our friends up at Sweetwater. Whether you're looking to start a podcast or take your content to the next level, click the link in the description to see all my gear recommendations at Sweetwater. If you want a behind-the-scenes look at everything we're doing across the state, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nate Spangle. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of what makes the Hoosier State great. We'll see you next time here on Get In.